Trap Report. I'm Kate the Great, man. Today we got Hitman Mike with us today, and we got Nephew, man. Can y'all introduce yourself? Let them know about yourself.
I'm Mike Hill. Yep, they call me the Hitman. Been called that for pretty good amount of years now. So, I do more tuning, promotion stuff nowadays than I do anything, and that's about me.
Okay. So, Nephew, man, why they call you Nephew, man? And how did you know what I'm saying? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Nephew. I got the name Nephew from a guy named Tony Wright. Yep.
Okay. So, like, for both of y'all, like, how did y'all get into racing, and what is y'all, like, earliest memory of, like, racing?
Well, as far as me, I started off street racing. Street racing was, I think a lot of us started off actually street racing. I know I did probably back in late 80s to early 90s. We raced, Ellsworth, Simpson, Fulton Industrial, all over the city. I think where some of these guys probably still get it on it. But like I said, we did a lot of street racing back in the day, then kind of transitioned to, our cars got faster and faster, so we kind of transitioned to going to the racetracks a lot more and away from the streets. And, we started, I started going to places like from the streets racing to Headhunter Dragway in Edenton, Georgia, racing there, and then, to Covington, the Speedway in Covington, and it was back then Twiggs County, places like that. So it just started getting more into the actual racetracks, for me, and I kind of just ventured shied away from the street racing side, especially trying to have a job and keep your license at the same time, so.
Hey, Mike, can we get you to move your mic just a little closer, and you too as well, Nicky?
Yep.
Just push it down. Yep. Telescope it in.
That better?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Now, where's the time frame? Like, because when you say, like, then, like, could you give me, like, a year? Like, when you first started. Like, what year was it?
At the racetracks or street racing?
Street racing.
I'd probably say 1988, 90. I say 90. Around 1990s when I really, because I bought a Mustang from, Ford dealership in probably 86, and I actually turned that car into a race car. Just started just spending every check into it, and like I say, around 1990, that car probably had a Doug Nash 5-speed in it, and we had took the motor and probably put a 351 wheels in it with aluminum heads and all, and like I said, it just kept going from there. Like I said, I used to sit on Simpson Road every day over here on the West End, and me and my cousin, they had a plaza over there. We used to sit out there every day. If somebody came up or down that street with a fast car, we would wave them down, like trying to get a race, and we was racing just about every night. If it wasn't cars or motorcycles or something, just about every night.
So were you winning a lot of those races?
Oh, yeah. I always kept a sleeper, tried to make people think it wasn't as fast as it was, and that was kind of my mentality of approach, however you want to call it, going at racing. So,
okay. What was one of your first bills?
My first bill was that same Mustang. I said I bought it new in '86, or so, and I think it was '86. But anyway, I took that same Mustang. It was a Mustang GT. Took that same car I bought from the dealership and just started, going at it every week, spending money into it. And finally, I took it to a chassis guy named Blake Wilder, and he actually cut the back of it off out and full-lengthed it. And back then, they had a class called Super Street, so we built that car like Super Street legal, and actually made it my first race car. And that, like I said, that car stayed with me a long time because that was an everyday driver for me. And then I turned it into a race car, and after years, I finally sold it, which was hard to do, so.
Okay. Like, what was, like, one of your biggest races?
My biggest races?
Yeah. Like, if you had like a moment, you'd be like, okay, like, when did you know, like, okay, I'm the hitman?
That came.
Huntsville.
Yeah. I mean, well, that was probably one of my biggest races, Huntsville, in 2006, where I won that $50,000 Outlaw 10-5 race. But, like, as far as the actual name of the hitman, that kind of, I think I gained that and earned it too, rather driving for, like, a good friend of mine named Damien. He always had, like, a Pro Mod Grudge car back in the day. We used to go to places like Phoenix City, and I forgot this other little track, or Montgomery, man, Darlington on Wednesday. We would just strike out and go grudge racing. And I was kind of a hired gun, like it was his car, he paid the bills, but like we raced for a lot of big money, and I was always that driver, and he had, he probably had more confidence in me than I had in myself back then. Like, because like just simple stuff like, we might have a grudge race with some guys for big money, and then they would even, outside of the bet, they would bet thousands on who left the start line first, who had the better tree, and stuff like that. And we won money with that, too. And that was just, I think that's where the hitman name came from, like more being like a hired gun, and
Okay.
did pretty well at it.
So like for like I'm relatively new to like racing, so like I'm still learning a lot. For like people that don't know, like what's the difference in like NT, like no time grudge racing, pro mods, like what is no time grudge racing?
No time grudge racing is basically like it's a group of guys or people that they race, and they don't believe in sharing to the public how fast their cars run. They keep the clocks off. Most of the cars, the engine packages and stuff like that are, people try to keep it a secret, even though it's harder these years to keep it a secret, because you have to work on them more, because the motors, the engines have got so much more exotic and stuff. You have to work on them, so it's hard to, back in the day, people would roll their cars back in the trailer and hold covers over them just to try to work on them. So it's gotten a little harder, but like I said, no time is basically what it is. It's no time shown, and like the guys don't want you to know how fast. You got to assume how fast your competition is. You will not know versus, if you run Pro Mod, you go out here and watch this man go 399. Well, all right, I know I need to go 390 faster than 399 to win. Well, in no time in grudge racing, you don't know that. It's just an assumption of how fast that man in the other lane is.
Okay. Yeah, because I know with filming, like when I go out there with the camera, people like, hey, don't film my motor. And I'm like, man, I'm figuring like everybody's setup got to be similar. But, what I'm hearing, like everything is different.
Right.
And then, you're trying to win. So just knowing something just a little bit more could be the difference between winning and losing.
Right. And it's because, like I said, these days people, if you come in and video, I got a no-time car here in the shop, and you come in and video my car, you take a picture of my motor, and that picture is exposed to other people. You got people that's going to dissect that. They going to blow it up,
Yeah.
And they going to look, and next thing you know, he got a big motor in a 632, or they going to, it just, and that's how they come up with that number too. And they just putting your business out there, and that's why most people just, if they true to the grudge game, they try to keep that hidden these days.
Okay.
Secret.
Okay. Now I got to shift a little bit and talk to Nephew for a second. So, like, Nephew, how long you been driving?
I've been driving. Well, I can't really hear it. Well, I've been driving since I was 16. I've been driving over 30 years.
Okay. So, what was the first car you were driving?
First car was
racing.
I used to bracket race. See, I come up bracket racing, going to the track every week. Dialing your cars.
Okay. So explain bracket racing. Like how is bracket racing different from like a regular race we would see?
Well, bracket racing just you put a number on your window. That's so how fast you gonna go, and the other guy do the same. And depending on who's faster, who's slower, like say if your car faster than mine, you gonna give me a head start. So it's designed for us to get that at the same time. But it never happened because once you add up the reaction time and how close I was, how close you was, that'll determine the winner, which they call that a package. Total package. So I grew up doing that.
Okay.
And like you said, in grudge racing, it's a secret that nobody knows.
Like, what is it like being a driver? Like, do you ever like get like nervous before a race, or do you are you really confident? What is it like being in the cockpit of the car?
Both nervous and confidence.
Okay.
You're gonna always have some nerves there, but I feel more confident because I got Mike behind me, so I'm feeling like,
So, as a driver, are you involved, on the bill? Are you hey, I need this right here, or do they just tell you, okay, drive?
Drive. Just drive. That's all I have to worry about is just drive.
See, that's good. See,
yeah,
that's simple.
It make me feel more relaxed. All I got to do is worry about just drive. I don't got to have to worry about make the car go fast. That's Mike's job to make it go fast. My job is just to get it there fast.
So what's been your biggest race so far?
Biggest race? Biggest, when you say biggest,
I mean biggest for you.
Money or biggest biggest the race itself,
like
who
for
I
you.
race?
Yeah, for you, what was the moment where you raced and you was like, man, this is dope.
Actually, a race that made me feel like that was a little small grudge race. We ran on side of Killing Time, Stephen Jackson.
Okay.
And I turned the wind light on. I felt like the crowd went crazy, and that race there, that passed. But grudge race, oh man, that's a tough one because everybody,
Every time you win, it feel like that, don't it?
Yeah. When you grudge racing, it do.
Even though you got some people you want to beat them more than you beat the last person,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Man, that's a tough question. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you ain't gotta just to elaborate on that more. Just talk about the feeling. After you win a race, what's the first thing you do? After your pass.
And you won.
Yeah.
Oh man, if a camera was in those cars, that would be something to see. I'm serious. You sing, hell, I don't want, I'll start singing in the car. You're hollering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a good feeling.
What's the fastest you've been in the car?
You might can't tell.
Yeah. See, if I was to say that, then people try to figure out, it had to be this car and that car.
Oh, yeah. So, see, next question.
Yeah.
I see.
I've been pretty fast, though. I've been pretty fast.
All right. So we gonna come back to Mike. This is some questions y'all will be able to ask together. What do y'all got coming up this upcoming race season? I know you got an event coming up in Memphis. Could you talk about that?
Well, actually, I'll back up. I just had my first event this past 2 weeks ago, right? March 6th.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
March 6th at Carolina Dragway. That was my first event, in which we call March Madness every year. And actually, we had a great turnout. Scared us because, like I said, early in the week we were looking at the temperatures 59 and 60 degrees and sunny, and then all of a sudden Saturday morning woke up, it showed 53 degrees at a high and cloudy, and that's scary for us as racers because, like I said, the cloud's scary for the fans, as far as people coming out. I was like, man, people may not come out, and I got a little worried because sometimes the tracks just get too cold and you can't make the tracks good where racers can really apply power. And that was another thing that we kind of fought with. But, I mean, luckily, the track, they worked hard. People came out. It was actually amazing support that people came out. So many people came out that weekend and showed support. I was like, man, it just, it's kind of overwhelming because when you see weather like that, you think, man, people ain't coming out in this. And that was just, it let me know people was ready to get out the house. Like I had people walk up and say, man, I just want to smell some smoke. I just want to smell some racing gas. And like I woke up Saturday morning and almost wanted to cancel the race, but I was like, well, the track ain't called me and said nothing. And then, but like I said, you have fans that calling you and sending you messages from like Florida and Memphis and Mississippi and different places that you'd be like, man, these people on the road, I got to gamble. I got to take a chance at this race. So we took the gamble and went forward with it. And, I mean, it turned out amazing. And like I said, we had a good racing. It was anybody's race because probably one of the fastest cars we had on the premises lost first round. And it was one of my cars, that I took it on. Right. But, I mean, that's the good thing about racing. It's when you don't know who's going to win. I mean, that's the good thing. And so, and like I said, we got another event coming up this weekend. We at Steele, Alabama. Me and another promoter, Pat Kalin, out of Alabama. We got one called March Massacre, and it's showing to be good weather, nice weather, and got a lot of people talking about coming from different areas. I think it's going to actually be pretty good.
Okay. Now, Mike, how did you get into promoting? Like, how do you go from racing how do you go from street racing to the track to promoting your own races? Like, how did that come about?
Like back in the day, I used to race. Like we used to race hard at a class called Outlaw 10-5, and that was mainly what we raced every single weekend. And one day I was actually looking for an 18-wheeler, and there was a promoter he was famous for like $1 million bracket races and stuff like that. A guy named George Howard. And me and him ran into each other at an auction one day, and he said, Mike, I've been wanting to get in touch with you, and we do a big race, Outlaw 10-5 race together, and we put it together and like a $20,000 to win Outlaw 10-5 race. And don't mind me, we were racing Outlaw 10-5 for $1,500 and $3,000, back then. So we put together the first $20,000 Outlaw 10-5 race, and he taught me a lot, and he kind of taught me how to stay, like be a promoter before the race, but then he showed me how to, once that race come, my promoter shoes come off, and then I become a racer. He said, your job is done, on race day. He said, I need you separate, when race day first promote. So he taught me a lot, and I mean, he's gone today, but man, he was one of the best, and I learned a lot from him. And like I said, I used to look at it the same way. I'm like, man, I'm spending a lot of money racing, out here racing. So if I could, throw me a couple events and get some of my money back, or help me fund some of my racing, I kind of seen that vision too, to keep going with it. And then we started a series called Oscar Outlaw Racing Streetcar Association, and it was real good and big for a long time. And like I said, that's kind of where it all came from. But George really inspired me to really start promoting, and that's really where. And that was like 2000 when we started doing that, and I just kept going.
Yeah, because now, like I seen pictures from the event 2 weekends ago, and I'm like, man, that stand is filled. The pit is filled. Everywhere in there, it don't look like you got standing room in there.
Right. It was, man. It was, and like I said, I appreciate everybody that came out, and like I said, Taylor always come out, and he there with us every weekend somewhere. So, that's, like I said, that's the thing about us, we somewhere every weekend, and like I said, we ain't at my races, I have to kind of go support other promoters too. We try to do our best at, supporting other people that do the same thing, so.
Okay. Like, what's one of the most fun memories y'all got together?
Man, that's a tough one.
Run, I think when we were racing ADRL, what that was? With the green car. That was fun days.
Yeah, ADRL.
ADRL.
Yeah.
So tell us about that day. Take us to that
They-
day, like, and about the race.
It was.
Because I know a race only 7 seconds, but you probably could talk at least 2
We
minutes.
was running the circuit then. It's
Yeah,
called
it was-
ADRL.
Yeah, it
Okay.
Was a circuit.
It was in Texas. Big
okay.
championship
Okay.
thing, and we won the whole thing.
Oh.
Mike was driving, Tuna driving.
Okay.
And it was just that day, and how people were just coming up to us and, wow, man, we never seen black people win, and it was just something. It was awesome.
Now, that was the big thing I was going to talk about. Like, what was it like coming up in this time and being black racing?
I mean, it was tough. I mean, I ain't gonna say it was tough. It wasn't tough, but like the only thing that used to, kind of probably arouse me was like me. I always, whenever I raced, I always wanted to race high up here. I've always tried to have top notch equipment, the best equipment. If I ran Outlaw 10-5, if I couldn't be a front runner, I wouldn't come in. So. I mean, I had good equipment, but, you always had that, people that look at you and be like, hey, I wonder how he afford that, how you afford that, which, I mean, that probably kind of used to bother me, which, I mean, I'm human. I mean, I worked hard, but I also, did my own thing to make it happen, so.
Yeah.
I mean, but we passed that, and, we all have to outgrow certain things, and I did, and like I said, man, I mean, just move forward with life. And like I said, now, man, I kind of get to enjoy watching him do it and other people do it. And like I said, he used to work with, when I was driving, that's what I like about, like, me and his deal. Like, we share a lot of the same passion. We racing number one and winning, and he was always with me, even though it wasn't my team. We had a team called VIP Racing, which Damon owned it, and we used to go racing the ADRL series he's talking about with a green Corvette, and like we won like a lot of those races. Like I said, we went, and I remember the race he was talking about going to championship. I actually lost. We had a Friday night shootout for like $10,000, I think.
Yeah.
I lost on a whole shot or something, and then I came back and won that Saturday night and won the $10,000 back. So it kind of made up for it. But like, it was great. Like I said, he watched. He always been able to drive, but I mean, I just don't. He didn't get that opportunity probably at that level that we were at then. So, but he was always paying attention and watching, and he used to help work on the car, get the car ready every round. So like. That's why I feel like our relationship is stronger. Like he was there when I was driving, working with me, and now all the cars that I get to work on and tune on, I put him in the seat of them, and now I'm that person that's outside working, and we got the communication part is strong, and I think every team need that. Like, if I say whatever I ask him to do or something like that, it ain't no mouthing back, or if I said tell him make a half track shot, shut off at the 330. He gonna cut off, and you get good feedback from him of what he think versus what I think, and like I said, we go into a race, we talk about it, the gamble that we taking and come to an agreement, and we go, and we just had to have confidence in each other. He got a lot in me, and I got a lot in him, and it seemed to work out for us.
Man, that's dope. So basically, you kind of grew up. You basically grew up in racing.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, so okay, so you know a lot about racing.
Right.
All right, that's good, man. So like, what's like one of the best things like you done learned? Like just like what's something that like a regular person can take from racing and like apply it to life?
Loyalty.
Yeah.
It'll take you a long way in racing, and it'll take you a long way in life.
That's definitely for real.
Yeah.
That's definitely for real. Like now this is just a perspective question. Like I gotta ask y'all this. We on a car show. Like, what is y'all favorite car? Like year, body style. Like, what was your dream car? I know y'all probably, Mike. I know you probably done had it several times over. You probably done driven them all.
Yeah.
But what is your dream car?
Like a race car every day.
Everyday race car, both of them.
Oh man,
68 Camaro.
I was finna say like
Yep.
what I want these days is probably like a new ZL1 Camaro or something like that, just to drive every day. They're fast, they're nice looking. I ain't gotta have a Benz or all that type of stuff, man. I'm simple.
I already could imagine. I could already imagine you ain't gonna say anything that's not domestic.
So I'm pretty simple, but like I say, man, as far as race cars, I love Pro Mod, Raider vs. the World. I mean, even like our No Time stuff, the Extreme 28 style cars, and now we got another hot class. Like he drive one of our cars in the 4840 that's coming for 4840 bore space stuff that we call and limited 28. So that's if I had to build another car, it'd probably be somewhere in between those lines. Even though like nowadays the street car stuff, man, the fast street car stuff it's growing fast. I mean, my race at Carolina Dragway March 6th this past weekend, it was amazing. We had something like a streetcar class. Like I had an outlaw streetcar class, which was fast race cars, but we had something like a daily driver that had the Corvettes, the Cadillacs. And when I tell you, honestly, man, it amazed me to see the fans cheering and standing up in the stands when those daily driver cars pulled up. So I'm like, man, I got to start making this more part of my events. And I kind of asked myself, I'm like, man, why the fans more excited about these daily driver cars when they get through the finish line than they are some of these fast cars? And I said, well, maybe because they can relate to them. Some of the race cars get to looking like.
Yeah, like when I look at Pro Mod cars and a lot of other cars, it look strange. But then I know, like, okay, it's a big supercharger on there or some type of like intake or something. But yeah, I think like for like average people, it's like a disconnect. Like they don't understand. Like, okay, that car looks like a car I see on the road. Okay,
Right.
And they fast.
Like, oh, and it's obviously faster than what I'm driving. Yeah, like I definitely got to shout for that.
Right.
Now, throughout all this time, who would you say would be like your biggest rival, the most fun racing?
Well, I had my biggest rivals I'll tell you who were my biggest rivals. Steve Kirk and Ed Mahal. Those were, as far as racing, those were my biggest two rivals I ever had. As far as like two races that I know we would pack the house with. Like I've watched when we ran the Oscar days, me and Steve Kirk used to race each other, and like you could watch the stands pretty much. If we made it to, both of us made it to the finals, you could just see how many people stayed and wait around for that race. But if somehow or another we had to meet up first round and one of us lost, it was amazing. The people you seen leave, like, well, that race done happened already, I'm gone. And people actually started booking me and Steve Kirk to do match races and stuff like that. And it was just, like I said, amazing how many people would just come out and watch two racers racing each other. And they paid us well to do it, and like I said, we used to have to kind of turn it down because it got to a point where every weekend somebody wanted me and Steve Kirk somewhere.
Yeah, I get tired of racing each other.
And me and Ed Mahal kind of built that same rivalry even when Outlaw 10.5 left. Me and Ed Mahal racing from when I had a 10.5 car, he always had a Pro Mod car. We did something once or twice a year, and I mean we bring out 4,000 or 5,000 people on that day just to come see me and Ed Mahal race. I mean it's actually amazing, and he's still racing. I mean he still race Pro Mod and still doing his thing. Just kind of me. I'm the one that kind of backed off and standing on the line behind him now. So
man. Now, as a driver, like, do you have rivalries? Do drivers have rivalries? Do you take on the rivalry as a team together, or is it just like, oh, I'm just driving?
Nah, it's team together. If I got a rival, we got a rival.
So like, who's like your rival? Like, oh, okay,
right
I see
now,
this person.
I'll say Andy Mack. He just want to race. I think Andy Mack right now is a rival between me and Andy.
He's a good rider.
You're right.
He's a good rider and he's a good racer. But at the same token, we all get along. You know, like family. You know what I'm saying? It don't be no animosity. It's just somebody that you could pop up and race him every week for and you want to win. And like Andy, we all going out there to win, but it just people like that make it fun. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't go out there and we win or he win. Or ain't nobody leaving there mad at each other. It's like, all right, I'll lock you back in for next week.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm gonna get you now.
Yeah, so.
Like, and that's something that I'm just not getting used to. Like I'm kind of just getting used to like the competitiveness with like racing. Like, cause it's just like, it's all about being faster or, you know what I mean? And it's always the dialogue back and forth between racers. Like, is that like, has it always been like that?
Yeah. You're going to get the back and forth. But just once the race happens, then
you see what it is. Because then that person they were talking, if they done lost they probably quiet.
Right, exactly.
Right. Now, are there any racers that don't talk? Are there any racers that just show up and race?
That's probably me. See, like as far as grudge racing, like that's probably me. I ain't never been the big talker.
Okay.
Like when it comes to grudge racing, like I've always quiet. I feel like beat me on the racetrack. You can beat me talking all day, but you got to beat me out here in them beams, But the grudge game got some really good talkers like Willie Dog and the Tony Wright, the Tony Bynes and Trigger Mans, and it's a lot of people that real good at that. Just ain't been my thing, and I think because of I probably grew up more into the class racing where we didn't do as much of that, and like I said, I've just never been that person that just feel like I gotta talk to win,
Yeah,
get in them beams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see a lot of these people. They talk a lot better than they race.
But it's
a
good
lot
for the
of them
game.
talk because they scared.
Yeah. Some try to talk their way out of a butt with me.
Yeah. All the time they'll be like, "Oh yeah." Now, for like people coming up, like, I do want to touch on one thing. Like, how did you get in? Like, I know like natural progression with all of this would be getting into tuning, but like, how did you get into like tuning cars, working on cars? Like, when did that part of Mike come about?
Like, I'd probably say 2013, somewhere around there, probably when I sold my last Pro Mark car, which went to Sweden, was a 69 Camaro, which I've always tuned my own stuff. Don't get me wrong, I've always tuned my own stuff, but I've always learned from some pretty good people, as far in the racing world, and, the Shannon Jenkins, the Brandon Switzers. I've been around a lot of people like that if I got to a point where I didn't, I needed to ask a question, I had them in my corner to ask that question. And like I said, but that's where mine started, working on my own stuff. Like I used to always have a Ford. Back in the day, I used to be a big Ford guy. And I used to always be like, if you can learn how to tune this Ford motor, I can tune you tune anything, because that was the hardest thing. To me, I felt like a Ford motor was the hardest thing in the world to tune. And I did my share of burning up motors, tearing up motors every weekend to try to learn what it want, what it didn't want. And I mean, I went through a lot of parts, but I learned, and I just kept going and kept going. And then once I remember being at Carolina, I think I had a $60,000 Pro Mark race or something like that, and I had my car there, and was trying to race it, trying to do the actual event at the same time, trying to race my car. And it's kind of when me and a good friend of mine, George Williams, kind of met, and he had his car there. So I parked my car to kind of help work on his car and get his car going with him. And it just, like I said, just started like a trickling effect of just
so you helped him out.
Yeah, I think people grasp like, man, he's doing good. And I also think the money that's in no time racing kind of contributes to a lot of tuners now. Like, actually, no time racers probably get to race for more money every weekend now than a lot of class racers do. And it ain't just me. There's a lot of tuners out here now that's getting paid to be at the tracks every weekend to do a job because, like I said, racing has excelled, tremendously, and the money's bringing out the best people in the world, to these events. Even like I said, guys grudge race for several of thousands of dollars, and people just, they hiring tuners to come out and be with them and make sure their cars going A to B and fast, so you see a lot of these fast cars that's grudge racing now. You're gonna see a good tuner behind these cars now.
Yeah, that's what I always hear now. People are like, man, if you want to race me, it costs this because I got to pay for my tune, I got to do this, and I'm like, y'all guys can't. I'm thinking like, in my mind, I'm like, hey, can't you, I'm figuring like it's a laptop, some type of application. Right. It's got to be something that does it, but obviously it's more intricate than that.
Right, and we don't never get through learning. We learning every day. Like, I've always been a carbureted guy. I'm still learning fuel injection, and stuff like that. I ain't gonna sit here and lie like I wouldn't have to, get on the phone sometime or have somebody to help me set up some of this fuel injection stuff versus, me on a carburetor. I know it very well. Yeah, but the fuel injection is it's a little bit more different, and like I said, I'm learning. I'm still willing to learn. I ain't gonna give up, and like I said, we got a lot of events this year that, hopefully, everybody can make it out to, man. That's paying big money in the no time game,
Well, now with racing, did COVID affect racing at all last year?
Affected racing tremendously last year.
Because, I know, my field really wasn't affected a lot here in Atlanta, but I don't know, racing, so y'all weren't able to gather and do races at all last year either.
It was very few races got off last year. I could have got probably two of I did get Valdosta off. I got my March race off. I got my November race off. But I missed several of my big races between COVID and the rain. We were shut down, but when somebody did get to open, it was packed, but it definitely hurt my deal last year tremendously.
Yeah, hopefully we get back to some type of normalcy. Now, are y'all guys familiar with the RPM bill and the new legislation with Congress? I'm gonna pull this up for us real quick.
I'm not familiar with that.
I think I read something about it's supposed to affect the race cars and all that.
Well, yeah, it's more so gonna affect it's more so gonna affect street cars. It's more so gonna affect street cars, and it's dealing with modifications to exhaust, fuel injection, everything that actually makes a car fast. They're basically trying to make it where only people that race cars professionally can make modifications to their car.
Wow.
And all of the car companies are banding together. People that make fuel injection systems, people that make exhaust systems. All of these companies are trying to band together, and they're trying to get everyone to vote on the RPM bill, the RPM Act, which will give us the right to modify our cars. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's not trying to, be a nice NASCAR driver. Some people want to just go down to the track and be I would be a novice, but y'all are professionals. If y'all going down to the track, it's dangerous.
Right.
Now, another thing I see now, with Atlanta, they're cracking down on street racers, car groups and gatherings. What are some solutions that you think people could do? Obviously going to the track on the weekends or doing stuff like that, but do you see any short-term solutions for Atlanta?
I used to always And I think I spoke to a track owner about this one time, but I always thought maybe and to me I think they got some stuff at the tracks. They do, like some of the racetracks are doing this deal where they race from the other end or the other racetrack to make it like street racing. But I just think that maybe if the racetracks would kind of offer a little bit more as far as the street racing style of racing at their track, like maybe open up a Wednesday night. Like that was my thought, was maybe open up a Wednesday night and call it arm drop night, or something like that. However they flag them off, where they ain't doing no prep, but just invite all the street racers. Other than that, man, I don't think I know of is probably somebody go out here and buy about 40, 50 acres of land and keep animals out there and let them have their way.
Well, I have a question just from being from Atlanta and just asking, why hasn't anyone put a racetrack, like put a drag strip in Atlanta?
Closer, you saying?
Yeah.
Probably had the zoning and all that. Probably had
I bet, man, it's probably got more to do with zoning, and anything where they think they can, where they might be going to build a house or something, it's probably make it harder. Like we've had I know there's been some opportunities where people were talking about building tracks in Covington area, and I don't know exactly what happened with it, which that would have been 35 minutes away from downtown Atlanta. That would have been great, but yeah, I mean, I agree. It'd be nice to have something closer but I just think it's tough, because everything around here just growing as far as
like everything growing up. Even if you tried to go to Noonan or Coweta County or any of these places, it's stuff popping up everywhere, and these developers are just putting everything on top of each other.
Right.
Now, what advice do you have for people that want to get into driving, want to get into tuning, want to get into promoting, want to get into racing? If they're a street racer, what are some steps or stuff that, because a lot of the people that are in tune with my content, they're trying to make it to the track. They're trying to get their times down. They're still investing in their bills, and they still figuring stuff out. What are some steps that they could take to, close some of those gaps?
Well, I have young guys a lot ask me about coming out, about racing and, getting into racing. And I always try to suggest, come out with us sometime and just hang out, and learn the game, even if it's simple as, come out and start learning how to do the tires, check the tires, and just constantly grow into grow that process of learning the race car, learning people, around you and stuff like that. I just think, that'll be the best start. You can't, unless you got a bunch of money, it's hard to just jump into this game and then, run to the top. If you got the money, you can go ahead and buy you a fast car, buy you a tuner, buy you a motor, and run to the front. But if you're just trying to get into it and climb that ladder, man, I just say get with a good team and just ask them to, hey, man, can I come hang out? Can I come learn? And I welcome it, myself, because, to me, the younger generation, that's, I'm going to have to sit back and watch them eventually. So, I like to see people grow, and I'd rather see them, out here trying to mess with these cars than be in the streets and stuff like that. So.
Now, what advice do you got for drivers? How can they learn how to drive? Because I done seen some people that they need help. They've been in reverse, all type of stuff.
Learn how to
if they want to get into driving,
if they want to get take experience first. Depending on how fast you're trying to go, but. I say come to the track, practice, go down, up and down the track a couple of times, get the feel of it. That's how you get in it.
Right.
Pay attention. Paying attention, you'll be surprised if you really just get out here and watch and look, and just really stay focused on what a person doing every pass or every round. You can learn a lot without getting in the car. If you just, like I said, if you just paying attention to round by round or what a person doing and watching them, me and him even talk about that. I watch people staging and how they stage their car, you know, all that simple stuff like that. You can get the fundamentals of just watching, you know. But like I said, ain't nothing like getting in the seat and feeling it. But I mean, you can learn a lot just watching if you just pay attention to it.
Now, see that. I think that's really one of the biggest keys because most people ain't students of the game anymore. They don't really watch it or like try to learn anything else about it. They just try to go off God-given ability.
Well, I learn a lot. To me, I used to drive and race with a guy out of Athens, a guy named Rob Hill. Like, as far as four-link stuff, like, you know, we have four-link cars, most of our cars. I don't call myself no chassis guy. I don't really feel comfortable doing it. But at the same token, like, he's seen me, like, take a whole rear and I'm on the car at the racetrack and pull every four-link bar I'm on it and put it back and it go down the track. But I used to sit around and watch people like that, him and Dan Parker, and when they did it, I sit back and didn't open my mouth, didn't question them, just sitting back looking and learning, you know. And
Soaking it in.
Just, yeah, exactly. Soaked it in and got up on there and was able to do it myself, you know. Because I used to feel like sometimes if you start asking questions, people would think you trying to take their job or wasn't going to need them no more. So I just sit back and watch, you know, and just, all right, I got it. That wasn't bad, you know. Picked up on it myself, how to do it, you know. But so that was me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Before I ask a question, I'ma look.
Right.
Like before I ask you some questions, I went online and looked. Now, one thing I want to know, like, do you consider yourself like one of the greatest racers ever? Because everybody else I've asked about you, I've done all my homework, and everybody is like, man, this man he's done a lot for racing, and then as a black man to be able to do that, that's something.
I don't know if I'd say greatest, but I mean, I've done a lot of good racing. Like I said, with ADRL, I didn't get to race PDRA much, but ADRL and Oscar was some of our biggest series. I won a lot of big money events, you know, and like I said, I got a lot of trophies to show for it. You know, like I said, I won Orlando World Street Nationals twice, which is, I don't know if you know this, Orlando World Street National used to be probably the biggest race of the year that everybody waited to go to in November November of every year. And I won it twice. I won in Outlaw 10-5 one year. I won it in Pro Mod Car one year. I run it up twice at it. Won another big U.S. National. Like I said, won ADRL like 7, 8 races. And like I said, I did pretty well. But I mean, like I said, I don't try to pat myself on the back about it, man. I mean,
like, do they have a racing? Do they have like a? I know they have a racing Hall of Fame, but would your racing category qualify for that?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, my mom made our house our Hall of Fame, my Hall of Fame. So
say you got enough trophies to fill it up.
I ain't lying, man. My mom took like if I won a trophy, I couldn't leave the racetrack with it. Mama took it. But she was there. You know, she always came out to support me at my races. And
oh, so your mom came to a lot of your races.
Oh yeah, my mom, my dad used to come to many of my races. You know, and she was right there. She would, and a lot of times she'd bring a cooler full of food and feed all my racing friends while she was there. You know?
So, were they supportive of races like your whole life, or was it a time where they weren't supportive of it?
Always been supportive of it. Always. She knew that's anything I love or anybody I love, Mama was behind it, you know, so I mean, they both were. You know, they knew I loved racing. So, you know, like my dad, man, he always, like when I was a kid, he was out hunting a truck one time, and we went to the dealership in Elberton, Georgia, and there was a Ford truck out there, and we fired that truck up, and somebody had built the motor in it. It had a camshaft in it, like just sitting there, just thumping out the exhaust. And you know me, I'm a kid. I don't know if that truck gonna cut off tomorrow or not, but I told my dad, I said, we want that one right there. I like that truck right there. And he bought it, you know. And like I said, I had my first car. I was 15 years old, man. Like I said, I worked at a place called the Apple Orchard, and during the summers, and I would take every one of those checks, you know, and go buy an exhaust system for it one week, buying something to try to update that car, you know, and like I said, they knew at 14, 15 where I was going as far as cars, you know.
Yeah, so you always had a love for cars.
Right.
Yeah, that's really dope. Like I can definitely understand that. Like I always like cars. Like I done owned a lot of them, wrecked a few of them. Whatever I could see on TV, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna try that. Like, okay, we're gonna try to jump this. We gonna, you know, try to do donuts. Whatever it is, I'm gonna try to. I've tried it in a car, but
Yeah, I got my first speeding ticket at 13.
Hold on, at 13, how you get a speeding ticket at 13?
My mom and dad tell you this, but they can't tell you now. They ain't gone, but like 13 years old, coming in my dad's truck. My dad was in the military. He was actually gone for 2 weeks. I think I forgot what they used to call it. He was gone for 2 weeks, and I had jumped in the truck and went somewhere, and State Patrol pulled out. I was running like 88 and a 55 and tried to outrun the police that night. And, you know, this, and tried to outrun the State Patrol, and when he pulled us over, you know, and my dad was gone, and that State Patrol, I remember that night, he was like, he said, you got about 15, 20 minutes, somebody come get you, or you going to juvenile, and just, I boo-hooed, and, you know, my dad, my dad's first cousin, he did come get me, you know, and, but that was my first ticket, 13 years old, man. I actually saved that ticket for many years.
Oh man, I bet you did. You got a ticket at 13, man. You not. I know the legal driving age had to be 16.
But I was in the country. I lived in the country, and I was driving probably 6, 7 years old. We were driving. I had motorcycles and dirt bikes, and like I said, it wasn't like being in the city. I could get out and drive.
Yeah, because it's open space, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
I had my first car at 15 and was driving to school every day. You know, so.
Oh, yeah, so you ain't never ride a bus?
No. Not hardly.
Now, let me see. I think we got through everything. Now, what I do need for both of y'all to do before we get out of here, I do need y'all to, like, you know, let people know how they can find your content. Like, how can they get in touch with No Time Grudge Racing? Like, how can they find you? Let them know about your event coming up in Memphis, like where it's going to be held at. Let them know your social media so they can find you.
Well, we need to talk about that event too.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
Memphis is coming up April 23rd and 24th. And it's a joint venture. I help a good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, Bobby Cole. It's actually his race, but you know I help him a lot with this race. And Memphis is going to be huge this year. I mean, I bet you it's probably 25. What do you think? 20, 25 locked in grudge races already. I mean, he got started early, and they've got a lot of locked in races. And when I tell you people out of Chicago and Florida and Alabama and Georgia, everybody's talking about going. So if y'all able, you know, and can make it, April 23rd and 24th, Memphis International Dragway is where
well, you know,
we
definitely gonna be there. We definitely gonna be in there.
Yeah, I actually told Bobby y'all plan on coming and stuff, and you know we talked about it, and like I said, man,
come on, you get to see me in action.
The hotel.
Oh yeah, see, now I'm definitely waiting to see that because I'm about to hold you to all of this now, because I ain't never seen no time grudge race.
Oh, okay.
I ain't never seen that now, so I'm like, okay, this is serious racing,
right?
Because that's all y'all basically telling me. Okay, each level is just a little more serious.
Yeah.
Like, cause now I'm like, okay, no time just mean like, all right, I'm never gonna see they motor, and it's no time, so I really don't know how fast they going.
Right.
So
I'm
probably gonna lose money.
I don't know how fast he are.
Yeah, see that's kind of scary. Right
That's the beauty of it, though.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there with a stopwatch somewhere, bro.
But
Sitting
it's
back there
still
with a phone.
that's even people are out there with stopwatches, but that's not
It ain't the real time though.
Right.
It ain't that laser.
right.
Well, they got equipment that some people use nowadays that probably get them close, but it's an estimate. Don't mean it's
It ain't
super
accurate. It ain't.
super
It ain't that line.
Yeah.
But it's it's in the ballpark though.
because there's the good thing about it. Reaction time plays a big factor in it. So even if you got a close estimate of time, but you don't know what that reaction time is, it still kind of leaves you a little bit in left field.
Yeah, I'm just saying in a race, 100ths of a second, you could be
Right.
lost.
Right.
Right.
Like
Right.
Now, damn. So the no time, like, so is there any prep in no time grudge racing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most of all the tracks we race on now are radio prep. Most everybody's on radio tires now. The majority of the racers that's in no time are on radio prep. I mean, you got a few people still that run the big tire slicks and stuff like that, but I'd say 95% of the cars are on radios, and the tracks are radio prep. And that's one thing that has happened. Everything's got more expensive because the tracks have to spray so much glue on them now to make that tire work. And
That's what I was gonna ask you. Like from 1990 to now, what has changed in racing?
Totally different.
technology, tires. I mean, just
Cause I'm looking now, like I know when I was a kid, 500-600 horses, you was doing something.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing people that's in the street, like they driving cars, like 1,000 horses,
yeah.
like, and that's just they selling cars off the dealership lot now with damn near 1,000.
Right. I hear guys racing. I mean, driving cars in the street every day that claim they make over 1,000, 1,200 horsepower, and they driving them every day in the street. So yeah, that's different. Because like I said, when we started racing and building nice motors, we were looking for 700-800 horsepower on the motor and spray some nitrous on it or something. But now they're getting that from the factories or just putting superchargers on them or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now I know I shouldn't ask y'all this, but I've been seeing this meme online. I gotta ask y'all: supercharger or twin charger? Twin turbo.
Nitrous.
Ooh, nitrous.
Nitrous.
So to boost that much.
Well, we just nitrous guys. I'm a nitrous guy. That's what he's been around.
Okay.
Nitrous.
The boosted stuff is super fast, but like I said, I'm a nitrous guy to heart, and be a hard change for me.
Okay. I could take that one. So now we got Memphis coming up. That's gonna be a big event. You driving out there? I get to see you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I got two locked in grudge races.
Okay, so you got 2 already locked in. Now, when y'all go out there, are y'all taking any extra races if people people try you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We actually got one of our cars in our camp. We got one locked in race with one of our cars called Jawbreaker. I think we're trying to get something locked in for Friday night there, and I got several cars that I work on that'll be there. Grudge racing, and like I said, he drive most of them. So, and we got a couple more that we working on. So, like I said, Memphis gonna be good. Memphis gonna be huge, and like I said, man, I'll keep you updated on several. Like I said, man, huge events coming up this year that.
Well, yeah, before we get out of here, can we just go down and run down of these events for the year? Because I know I seen a couple of them now. I know me. We looked at one at South Georgia Speedway we were going to go to. I think that's in November.
That's
Austin.
in Valdosta.
That's
Yeah.
my last race of the year where we're talking about doing the $50,000 4840 Porsche space race.
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to be there for that one right there. That sounds colossal right there, 50,000.
Like I said, my next one, I mean, I got the DMV in April, but like May 29th, Darlington Dragway, and then May 8th, we go to Piedmont Dragway in North Carolina for some really good friends of mine, Herb the Ruler and Tony Nutso race. And Jamie Triggerman's race in June 11th, 12th. That's gonna be a huge race. You know, if y'all can make it out, man.
Okay, so June 11th, we're gonna put that in the calendar.
That race will be huge to come out to, and like I said, man, that Night of Fire in Darlington. It's several good races. And I'll be back and forth with y'all. We keep you updated on the big events coming where you come out and get a lot of the talking trash and
yeah, man.
racing.
You know,
You like to hear the trash talking?
I like to see the racing.
Yeah.
See, I like to see the racing. Cause see, it's like they talk trash for 2 hours, a race 5 seconds. Then the person that been talking trash, he already knew his car was slow.
Yeah.
It's always some type of technicality, like, oh, my car wasn't shifting. Or, when do people just take accountability? When y'all beat people, do they just say, like, I lost? Have y'all beat someone and they be like,
No.
I lost. You good race.
Most people now it's about like you saying how cars change, racing done changed. You know, we got social media now that's taking over, and people don't take the losses the same. You know,
Yeah.
it used to be time where you can go, you shake hands and it's over with, but now people know they got to hear it on Monday or Sunday. You know, people making memes of them lost, or
Yeah.
you see a car like you say, you got the GAT report, and you see people take a picture of 2 cars and put a tractor trailer in between them. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's rough because then it's just like, man, you got to relive this every day.
Right.
But I feel like if you could roll with those punches and laugh with the people,
Right.
it'll make it even more fun for you.
Yeah.
Because if that get to you, Lord, the internet not gonna be fun for you.
Yeah, we found our own little thing that worked for us in our group. So we just, like I said, we go out there and take a L, and they try to joke about it. We joke with them.
We joke with it.
Yeah.
You know, and so
It kind of killed the joke.
right there you go.
It
See,
killed the joke
see,
because
you
it
know.
be like they like, oh man, he laughing with you. I'm not getting on your nerves.
Right.
Like, but one thing,
Losing gonna come if
Yeah.
you race enough.
yeah. I mean, and then with technology changing and
Right.
everything, like that's what I be wanting to know too. Like, do y'all have to rebuild cars often, like every year? Because I know, like, once you run a car for a year and you win a lot of races,
Somebody coming for you.
yeah, somebody
So
coming
you gotta
for.
stay on top of your game.
Like, how do people stay on top of bills like that though? Like, either it's really expensive or you got to be like inventing stuff.
You see what this hoodie say right here, don't you?
How bad do you want it?
At the end of the day, that's what it's about. I mean, and if you got to be willing. You got to be willing to make changes and sacrifice changes. And sometimes you got to step off in left field and to make a change, and you might get behind for a little while, but that change, may be for the best. Like I said, every year technology change, these cars advance. I ain't saying you got to build a new car, because we got cars out here that was probably built in early 2000 or mid 2000 that's still racing and run fast, but they made, when it came to radio racing, like I said, the electronics of a car, the shocks, all of this stuff play a major part. So you got to at least be willing to update sometime to some of the newer stuff.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Like, you got, once something new come out, it makes something like super inferior. It's like the iPhone. Once the iPhone came out, if you had a BlackBerry, it didn't make sense.
Right.
So once they bring out something that's like an iPhone, like, okay, yeah, I got to put that on my car. It ain't even gonna make sense. It's about like me having this 350 in my car. It
ain't gonna make sense.
It ain't gonna make sense no matter what I do to it. It's still,
when you pull up beside that one that's got a 572 in here.
it's not gonna do it. Yeah, so I definitely understand all of that, man. I appreciate y'all coming out today and man, shedding some knowledge, and I mean, especially to me, because I'm not y'all are experts. Y'all both racing gods, because basically, you drive the car, he work on it, bro. Man, that's amazing. I'm still looking on somebody to work on my car. You know, so y'all definitely got everything figured out, man. I'm definitely looking forward to going out to Memphis. I know it's gonna be some barbecue out there. Big Rick definitely gonna turn me on to everybody. Make sure I get all the food out there.
Yeah, we sure, man. It'll be grills fired up for sure. And like I said, Bobby normally do have someone coming out and cook.
Man,